Welcome back, guys. So I got a few announcements. Some you guys will not like. I feel like so. What if Deku had Spider-Man? I will be not doing that anymore. I'll be redoing it, I think. And what if Deku is an SAO? I'll be. That will stop also. What if Deku is cheated on? I'm deciding with that. I think I'm going to keep going with that one. Hockey's still going. Deco's an idol. I'm still gonna go with the Titan Shifter. Still, everything else is still gonna go. Okay. So yeah. But out of that way, this is gonna be what if Deku stayed qwirkless. So we just picked up. We're gonna start off where just in the beginning of the anime. Or where they're in high school. Bakugo said, just jump off the bridge, or jump off the roof, why don't you? Take a swan dive, right? Deku listens to it. Bakugo sees him, and he says, you won't. And then Deku jumps. And let's say a girl that has white hair, but her quirk is water, and she saved Deku with it. She said, what are you doing? Are you okay? Right? And when he said, yeah, thanks to you, she said, no, are you okay? Right? Because she's thinking, like, is he mentally okay? Because no one really does that unless they're, depressed and stuff. And he says, no, not really, right? And starts crying. And Bakugo's looking down, and this girl sees him and says, are you the reason? And he says, yeah, yes, but I didn't think you would. And he said, well, this girl said, well, watch out next time. You could have actually done something bad here. And he's like, right, he's dumbfounded. He never knew that Midoriya would do this, even if he said it. And he's just stuck now. He doesn't know what to do. And she helps Midoriya, right? And Midoriya says, why? You could have just let me. And Bakugo's like, what did he just say? Because Midoriya just said, you should have just let me die. I would have got out of his way anyways. And I wouldn't be a burden to society. And she's like, what do you mean you wouldn't be a burden to society? And he says, well, I'm qwirkless. And she says, so what? Doesn't matter. You're still a human, right? And, like, she's yelling at him about it. Bakugo ran off because it's Bakugo. So, yeah. And after that, she walked him home and told Inko about it. Inko got everything sharp out of his room and everything that could hurt him out of the house, or into her room. And now he's just in his room, nothing sharp's in it, and just contemplating with himself. Doesn't want to do anything. Right, and let's say the time comes and when the teacher is giving out papers, because the Bakugo said take a swan dive off the roof before, and everyone knows what Bakugo did, so they're all mad at him for saying that, even his goons are. And everyone sees Deku and they're like, wait, are you okay? And right, because they're all worried about him now. Says, leave me alone. Don't know why you guys care now. And walks off. And everyone just got hurt by that because they all bullied him because he was qwirkless. And they're trying to say, sorry, we're sorry. And he just didn't care. He just told him to fuck off and went away. He didn't care about anyone now. But he still kept contact with that girl. And it's been and when the teacher says, I know you want to be heroes, and he says, sir, could you give me one of the papers? Right? Midoriya said this, and everyone's like, wait, you don't want to be a hero anymore? And he says, no, there's no point to. I'm qwirkless. Right? And he says, sure, good, here. He gives it, and Deku just signs up to be a person, but Deku then says, never mind, I'll just sign up for you away. They're like, oh, what are you going to do for there then? Right? Because they're all now, it's like, mind your fucking business. Right? And everyone's like, what the hell is wrong with them? Right? And in this universe, because I kind of want to do this, he is brothers with Shigaraki. And Shigaraki knows what happened, and he hates Bakugo with a hatred. Right? And he kind of wants to kill it. He just hates him. And he says, Midoriya, because his mom didn't really care about Midoriya that much as Shigaraki did. Right? And he's like, Midoriya, are you okay? When he heard that Bakugo said that, he went up to Bakugo and yelled at him. Right? And Shigaraki can control his decay. Because I feel like if he could become a hero pretty well, but whatever. Right? And Midoriya had green hair, but he dyed it. He dyed it to his new color, to white. Right? And and Shiraki's like, why did you dye it? He says, I just don't like the color green anymore. And he says, oh, okay. And they walked off. And Shiraki's noticed that Deku really doesn't like himself anymore. The only time he really goes out is if he's hanging out with this girl. And the girl's name is named Noelle. Yes, I'm adding this Black Clover character. Don't judge me. Right? And when they were going, and let's say one day they were walking, Shiraki was trying to, boost up Midoriya, right? And trying to boost up Midoriya, and let's say one day someone tried to attack them. Was trying to attack, and Shiraki protected Deku, and Deku has been going to the gym, so he gets into some sort of fighting stance, right? And he gets in some sort of fighting stance. Shiraki notices this, and he's like, okay, let's go, I guess. Get ready to protect yourself if you have to. He's like, yeah, I know. And they all start coming to it. And let's say they got by without fighting. So they're happy about that. And let's say Noelle was it. But Noelle, because they were heading towards Noelle. And Noelle got caught into the fighting. So Deku ran back in. And let's say Noelle was about to get hit by one of the villains. But he blocked the hit and got hit instead. And Midoriya got stabbed in the eye, let's say. And he got hurt badly from that. So now he has a scar on his eye. But let's say that 5 years later, not 5 years, a year later, Bakugo's already in the school. He has one for all, let's say. And after that year, his eye regrew, but the eye was different. Because I'm not giving him the Renegon, the Sharingan, or anything like that. No, I'm just going to give him one of Luffy's eyes for a reason. I'm just going to give him Conqueror's Hockey and Armament Hockey. Don't judge my ass. No, actually, no. Let's just say Midoriya has just got an implanted eye. Okay. And, yeah. No, let's just say he covers his eye always. Yeah, he's going to look like Kakashi. Okay, so yeah, don't judge me. So yeah, that happened. And yeah. So let's say so Noelle always helps them, and let's say they start dating. Right? And one day Deku figures out that Noelle has been cheating on Deku. So he confronted Noelle about it, and she said, "Yeah, you're too weak and everything." And Deku just got hurt. And this is what Deku looks like now since she broke up with him. And he's just sad about it. He doesn't want to live. Doesn't want to live anymore. Right? And Shiraki hates Noelle from this. And she cheated on him for Bakugo, let's say. Not for Bakugo, for I gotta do this to him with Kirishima. And he knows who Kirishima is. Kirishima's still dating her. And Deku hates Kirishima. But let's say Deku's been going to the gym even more now. And he does parkour. So let's say one day people recorded him doing parkour. Right? And since he's doing parkour, people are like, huh, is he, like, people think that he has a quirk, but, yeah, they're like, oh, he must have a very strong quirk if he does that to not get hurt, right? And one day, let's say he accidentally fell, Shiraki's like, oh no, because he was always running with him, just under him, and he said, Shiraki went under where he's about to fall, and he caught him. It wasn't really a high building, let's say. It was just like a roof, right? It was just like a pawn shop roof. So Shiraki just caught him. He's like, you gotta be careful, even. You know why. He's like, yeah, I don't care. And he's like, I don't care if I get hurt, or even if I die. And people heard this, and they're like, what the hell is wrong with them, right? And he's like, don't say that, come on. And Deku just restarted his parkour and kept going. Right, and yeah. And Deku noticed that ever since he started parkouring, there's more people videoing parkour after, and they gave him a name. They just called him Parkour. And he posted out a tweet on Twitter, and he says, hey, I do parkour. I guess people gave me the name Parkourus, but if you guys are gonna call me a name, call me call me Assassin, the Assassin, right? And people caught on to this and they're like, oh, okay, right? And they're like, the Assassin's back at it at his parkour again. And Heroes noticed that they just call it that he wants to be called Assassin. Bakugo notices this because he knows. Bakugo notices the name, but he doesn't know who this kid is because Midoriya erased him from everything from his life. And let's say one day when Bakugo was patrolling, because it's been 2 years now. Bakugo's in his second year. Midoriya's still qwirkless. He doesn't care about anything. He doesn't even care about heroes now. And let's say that he hasn't dated anyone in a while, right? Girls have tried to date him, but they just cheat on him because how plain he is. But Midoriya tries to be happy for them as much as he can. He is happy when he gets a girlfriend. His mood goes up, but Midoriya is starting to lose faith into people. But let's say one day, I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna say that this person is a lot younger, okay? And it's gonna be Midnight, okay? She's, let's say, since they were 15, she's 17, okay? Midnight's also a hero in training. And Midnight figures out who this assassin boy is. She figures out it's Midoriya. So she tracked him down and said she's a big fan of him. She would like to because she would like to train with him since she's in the hero course. And she doesn't know if he'll accept that. And he said, sure. You ready? He said, because Midoriya's kind of noticed that people have been asking him more. He says, okay, I guess I could start training people, right? And he says, because he has already 2 people coming, and those 2 people were Shinso, because he knew that he was going to need to get stronger and move around, have more maneuvering. Shinso, and then he gradually, and he knew that he was also doing it with Kirishima, and he hated it. He said, sure. Right? And he said, yeah, just be here by this time tomorrow. And she's like, wait, really? And he said, yes. Are you coming or what? And she says, yes, gotcha. She says, yeah, got it. And yeah, the next day, he waited for everyone. Shinso was the first one. Midnight came, and Kirishima never came that day. Said, of course he doesn't show up, right? And he's like, good. He's like, oh, great, he didn't show up. Today's gonna be a lot better then, right? And Shinso knows what happened. He's like, calm down, dude, right? Because Shinso and Midoriya kind of got a nice, friendly relationship, right? And Midnight's like, okay, I'm here. So, how are we starting this? And he says, well, first, I gotta see how far you could jump. And he's like, she says, oh, okay. And she's like, and she jumps, and she does a pretty good, decent amount of good jumping. She does a good jump, and he's like, huh, not bad for a beginner. Right, and he's like, huh, since so. She's like, your type of jumps. When you began, he's like, yeah, huh. So, pretty good, I guess, to start with. And he's like, yeah, well, I guess we should start heading. Right, and she's like, heading for what? Well, time to do he's like, time to start working out. And she's like, oh, okay. And they went to the gym. He has like a little pass. And he kind of told the person that's running it that he's going to start training people to do it, to do parkour like him. And he says, oh, okay. And he's like, if you make profit out of this, give me half of it. He says, yeah, but I probably will just do it for free. He's like, okay, kid. But if you're gonna try to make money in the future, try to make profit out of it. Right? And he's like, okay, sure. Right? He says, try to make profit out of it one day. He says, oh, okay. He's like, sure. And Deku thought about that one day, and he's like, nah, I don't want to make profit out of it. I just want to help people, I guess. Right? And he thought about it. He kept thinking, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. No point to. Right? And Shiraki also does it, and he's like, he thinks about it. He's like, Shiraki kind of gave up on it because he's also training and training to be a hero. He's like, no, it's not my thing. I can just move around pretty easily. He's like, okay, whatever you want. And Midnight and all of them have just been doing it. Bakugo notices that Midnight's getting faster, right? And yeah, he just he just notices it, but he thinks, oh, she's trying to be better, but it's not gonna happen, right? And he's just all this cockiness, of course. And yeah, let's say one day Midnight came up to him and said, Deku, can I talk to you alone? And he said yeah, and he said yeah, sure. And she told him that she likes him, and Midoriya just said, oh, okay. And then he says, I can't really trust that stuff that much anymore. She says, why though? But she's like, I won't do what she did. And he's like, wait, do you know who she... Because he never told anyone except for Shinso. He's like, wait, what do you mean? I've met that girl that cheated on you, that you dated for a year. What was her name? Noelle? And when he heard that, he's like, how do you know her name? And she said, well, she's in my class, and she's also dating that boy that you don't like in your classes, right? And he's like, okay, so you do know some stuff, right? He's like, I guess I could date you, but if you make one wrong move, I'm gonna end it real quick. And she says, oh, okay, reasonable enough. And she says, oh, okay. And she's all happy that she gotta start dating the assassin, right? And she's like, okay, that's great. And she's all happy about it now and stuff. And he gets happier now. He gets all happier about it now. And yeah. And during the what the hell? Hold on. Sorry about this. Sorry about that. Let's say during the what was it? Let's say that they still, like, let's say UA is a college, so they have to do like 10 years of it. Because they have to be official heroes at age 25, and they're only 17 or 18, let's say. So he could do whatever he kind of wants now. And let's say he made a bigger business, right? And let's say even some heroes are doing this now because they want to try it. And they noticed that he's a lot faster, and so are his tops two. And those top two is Midnight and Shinso, right? And they just noticed that. And let's say one day there was a villain attack, and a little girl got caught in it. And Deku noticed this. He parkoured down there and saved her. He got hit by some rebel, but since he's been working out, it didn't really hurt that much. And let's say a pole accidentally got stabbed through his arm. Midnight was with him, and so was Shinso, because they were just doing extra training that day. And they helped pull him out. Shinso got the villain to talk and calmed him down. And then he said, surrender. And after that, Shinso and Midnight ran over, because Midnight also had their quirk activated to calm the villain down. And they ran over, and they just see Deku bleeding in his arm. And they're like, oh, Deku, are you okay? Right? And he says, yeah, I'm okay. Get the girl out, though. And they get the girl, and then they get him out, and they're like, are you okay? And he says, yeah, and passes out. Everyone's frantic about it, and Midnight and Shinso are yelling at the heroes that they should have been more careful. Why aren't they careful about this? Right? And they're like, calm down, you guys. Right? And they're like, calm down. Like, calm down. You're letting a person that you should have done save a girl, and he got himself hurt. Even though that should have been you people. You should have got hurt for that, not him. Right? They are now just yelling at him. Even, let's say, some other pro heroes are getting mad at the kids. The pro heroes are getting mad at the kids for telling them how to do their job. Let's say one of them tried to hit try to punch Shinso because he just kept yelling at him. But Deku woke up again and grabbed him and said, "Are you really gonna hit him?" Right, and he's breathing heavily because he pulled out the pipe out of his arm, let's say, and they're like, "Oh, you're awake." Right, and he's like, "Yeah, are you okay though?" He says, yeah, I'm okay. Why?" Then he sees him catch the hand. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm okay. You, are you sure you're okay though?" He says, "I'm just bleeding from my arm. I'm okay. We're not gonna have class for about." He's like, "Tell everyone else that's in the classes that I'm not gonna be there. So Midnight Shinso, you two take over and just do our regular routines." And he says, "Okay." He says, and then he starts walking off, and they're like, and then he says, "Where are you going?" He says, "To the hospital." And he's like, "Oh," and they're like, "Alone?" And he says, "Yeah, I have to, don't I?" And they're like, "Yeah, but what the?" And they notice that, God damn it, it's so fucking annoying. And they just see that he just starts walking to the hospital and like, "Do you want to ride?" And he says, "No, I don't want to ride that from people that should have been doing their jobs," and kept walking off. And let's say the girl's family said, "Here, sir, I'll give you a ride," and he's like, "Okay." He gets in there and he passes out, and the family's franticing now because they thought that he's passing out because blood loss, and he did. And they're just speeding now, and they got pulled over once, and but they kept driving to the hospital. They stopped at it, threw him out. They put him, and they told him, "Please, someone help him." And the police were behind them, and just they got the driver and said, "Why were you speeding?" And then they saw the boy hurt badly, and then he says, but still," and he says, "Still my ass," right? Now he's just arguing, and Midoriya, when he got out, right, because he just got bandages around his arm. He says, "Just stop, please. You guys should not sped anyways for me. There, just put it on my record," right? And the police is like, "No, we can't do that." And he says, "Put it on my record," right? And now Deku's starting a little argument. And let's say Midnight Shinso Shiraki came, and they're like, "Oh, Midoriya, you're okay, thank God," right? They're all happy about it, and then they're like, "Is there a problem, sir?" He said, "Yeah." He's about to start an argument and about to get a warrant on his head. And he says, "Why?" And he says, what are you doing, Deku?" And he's like, "What is he doing wrong though?" He says he's about to start an argument with me. He's like, "Okay, so it doesn't matter, right?" He's like, "It does matter though." And he's like, "How does this matter?" Right? And they're starting a little argument with the police officer now. And he's like, "You know what, never mind," and walks off. And Deku's like, "Okay, well, Shiraki, take me home. You guys know what to do." And let's say that his little company is there. Suyu's there. Like, everyone that's in his company is Suyu, Zawa, surprisingly, Vlad Keen, Midnight, Shinso, Kirishima quit, but Noel's in it, Bakugo's in it. Yeah, I know Bakugo, right? And let's say Momo is in it, right? And they're like, and he's like, but the only people that didn't go, because Bakugo figured out that it was Deku, and he's like, Bakugo's actually there, like, just everyone's there. And he says, "Well, the guys," he says, "Well, everyone, people that are going to be in charge is Shinso and Midnight. Respect them like it was me there, please." And he's like, "Sure, okay, take me home now," because he's tired. He's like, "Yeah, okay." He takes him home, and it's a month later. He gets back out, he searches, and does a little bit by himself, and he bumps into Midnight. He says, "Oh, hey, what's going on now?" And Midnight's been giving them, like, catched up and stuff. And he's like, "So, Bakuya thinks that he's the number one student because I'm God, huh? And so is Kirishima and Noel." I see. And he's like, she says, "Yeah. What about Sensho? Sensho's hurt right in his ankle." And he says, "Why though?" He says, "How did he get hurt?" And he says, well, Bakugo Kirishima kinda. And he says, they did what? Right, and now he's just mad because it was them. And he said, well, they kind of tripped him because they were messing around. Right, and he accidentally hit his foot while catching himself from a building. Right, and he's like, oh, okay. Tell everyone that it's gonna be a hell when I get back tomorrow. Right, and Midnight goes and says, well, since some two people want to hurt one of our guys, we're gonna have hell tomorrow, Deku said. Midoriya said. And so he was like, oh, but it wasn't her fault though, it was just theirs. Right, and Bakugo screamed out, what was that, you damn frog, huh? And let's say Deku was right behind Midnight, and he says, knock it off, right? And they just see Deku. And they're like, oh, and Kirishima says, oh, great, you're back. Can't hurt anyone else. And when he heard that, Deku rushed over and hit his head. Like, even Kirishima saw this coming, but he knocked Kirishima out. And Deku notices that he got stronger somehow. And I'm going to give him a path ability. It's going to not be a quirk, right? But I'm going to give him, hold on, let me think what it was. I'm going to give him Luffy strength. Okay. So, yeah. And let's say, okay, fuck it, I'm going to give him it. And let's say Deku, everyone knows that the assassin slash Midoriya is quirkless, right? And let's say one day he was just conquering all of his will together, and, right, and all of a sudden he saw things that he was just acting normal, and let's say Bakugo tried to throw a rock, but he moved his head, and he's like, what the hell, right? And he says, Bakugo, why did you do that? He's like, that wasn't me, though. He says, I saw you, though. He's like, but you were turned the other direction. He's like, and then he's like, wait, I was, though. But he's like, yeah, I was the other. No, he's just thinking to himself, like, what the hell is going on? And then he's like, okay, whatever. And I gave him observation haki and giving him conqueror's haki. I'm not giving him armament haki. Well, yeah, not giving him armor haki. And let's say he's like, okay, whatever. And let's say Nezu has been trying to get Midoriya into UA, right? And Midoriya just keeps saying no. And they even offered him money, like millions of dollars, even one time $100 billion. And everyone's like, he's still not joining after this. Why though? And Nezu's thinking, why isn't he joining? We're giving him everything he wants, right? And one day, let's say Deku's actually thinking about joining UA, and he went to Nezu and said, okay, I'll join. Nezu's like, oh, great, but you gotta give me one thing I could use. He says, what? A wooden katana. I could use a wooden katana. And he says, what? But he's like, I don't have a quirk, so help me. He's like, I guess, fine. It'll give you. He's like, and you guys are gonna, and I need you guys to give me the strongest wood that is around here. He says, and this is like, yes, gotcha. And they made him a wooden katana, and this is what Deku's gonna start looking like. Give me a second. So he's gonna dye his hair black. Again, he's gonna dye his hair black this time, and this is what it's gonna start. This is what his hero costume's gonna look like, and I'm gonna give him this sword, okay? So yeah, they said we couldn't find you a sword, but we found you this, and they found this, and they said, well, we found this ancient weapon. Would you like to use it? And Deku grabbed it, and he passed out, and it's like, what's going on? And they see markings go around him. I'm kind of making him overpowered now. Yeah, I'm giving him Conqueror's Haki, Observation Haki, and now this. If you know what this anime is, Cipher of the Andiyaki, right? If you know what this is, if you know who this anime character is, I love you. No homo if you're a guy, but not I just I love you for that. If you know who this is, and you tell me his name, I will heart your comment and subscribe even if you don't have a channel. Yeah. But sometimes I can't make subscribe to you if you know him, because you have to make an actual account on this, I think, or something. I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna say that. And yeah. Where was I? And he gets sucked into this void and sees this girl. He ran towards her, and in surprise, when she tried to hit him, he dodged it. And he says, "Where am I?" Right? And she's like, "Wait, why isn't it working?" And she says, "Are you not afraid of anything?" Right? And she's kind of sweating now. And if you know who I'm talking about, you should. It's a demon. It's a vampire. I think no. I don't know what it really is. I kind of forgot a little bit. It's like a demon type vampire thing in the sword, right? And he says, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Oh." She's like, "Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I'm gonna make a series. What if Deku was him?" Okay. If he was Yachiro, I can't say his name right. Urichel. But yeah, okay. Probably do that on Christmas. Maybe make that my Christmas special. I don't know. My Christmas special. I'll do something. I just don't know what series. Okay, here, you guys gotta tell me, what series am I gonna make the Christmas special with? Okay. So, I can make the Christmas special with Zoro. Make it like Zoro and Deku and Miracle under the missile, whatever the kissing thing is. You know what I'm talking about. So, I could do anything like that for you guys. I just need to know what series, and you guys are gonna have a Christmas special with that one on Christmas. Okay. So yeah. Back to the story. So he wakes up and he notices he's in Recovery Girl's office. He's like, oh, okay. And he had the sword still in his hands. He says, why is this still in my hand? He says, well, when I try to pull it off, it wouldn't come off. And then I got a stronger hero. Then I got Vlad, he couldn't get it. And then I got All Might, surprisingly, he couldn't get it. Right? And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, really? And then he just switched it to the other hand. He just put it on the bed, and everyone's like, wait, you could have just dropped it? And like, what the hell? Right? They don't know what's going on. And he's like, okay, I'll join your thing. I just want to be in the same grade as her, as Midnight, as the girl and hero named as Midnight. What is Midnight's actual name? Give me a second. I want to figure that out. Okay, so I figured out what her regular name is, but I can't say it, and I can't find anything to say her name right. So yeah, we're just gonna call her Midnight. Let's just say her real name is Let's just say her. I'm just gonna start calling her. Yeah, I'm just gonna call her Mid, or just Night. One of those two, whoever one I say. So yeah, where was I? So let's say the first day, Zawa introduces Deku to the class, right? And Midnight and Shinso are like, oh, hey Deku. And they're like, oh, hey, Sensei, right? And it's always like, so are we having, and let's just say they're having a talk real quick in front of the class, and he's like, are we having training today? He's like, no, I don't even know what we're doing here today. He says, oh, okay. And they're like, and everyone notices him. Momo was like, oh, hey. Right? And Momo's not really that rude to Deku, because he knows if he messes with him, well, he's going to have a horrible time at training. Right? Kirishima's like, oh, hey. Right? And he ignores him. Noah's like, oh, hey. He ignores her. He ignores pretty much everyone except for the people that are really nice to him. Like, he ignores Oraka, Ida, Dinky, so everyone thinks he's rude except for Suyu, Shinso, Monoma, let's say Kendo, Azawa, Midnight, I'm trying to think if I had anyone else in it. I don't think so. Yeah, And they're like, oh, why does he talk to them the most, right? And Bakugo and Kirishima never quit. I know, because I earlier said he did. He never did. Let's say he just rejoined, right? And Kirishima and Bakugo said, well, and Noel said, well, those guys train with him like us. And they're like, wait, is he the assassin? Yeah. He just joined our school, I guess, because Nezu paid him $1 million or something. And Deku's like, I don't even want this $100 billion right now. And they're like, they gave him $1 billion. And they're like, geez, your school is really cheap for me to come here. And they're like, and they all said, yeah. And Deku's like, well, do you guys want to go out to eat, I guess? They said, sure. He says, okay, guess put on something nice and I'll meet you guys out there. Okay. And they said, oh, yeah, sure. And I'm going to show you what he looks like in a second. And they go to a nice, fancy place. And this is what Deku's going to look like. Give me a second. Deku looks like this. I couldn't find. No, let's just say Deku looks like this. Yeah, it just looks like this.